And we are live. I just had to double take myself then because it seemed to pause as we got to 1 second. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another webinar with Talos360. And I'm not alone this week, which is always nice. I've not just got one guest, I've got two. I'll introduce you into Mel and Matt in a second while you all get comfy joining me on today's webinar. Should all be able to hear me, should all be able to see me. If you can't, let us know in the Q&A section and we can make sure it's fixed. But we've been testing everything out. It should all be okay. But yeah, we're going to be talking today about how AI can elevate your candidate journey. I ran a poll over the last week. It is still live if you want to go and give it some interaction on LinkedIn. I ran a poll this week asking what people's biggest concern is around AI in recruitment. And the second biggest concern was candidate journey. Number one was actually bias in recruitment. So we can talk about that a little bit as well. But we're going to talk about how AI can actually be used to elevate your candidate journey and can be used to help you out or not just streamline your processes, but give candidates a better experience. So we're going to jump into that today. But first of all, introductions are in order. I'll let you guys start first. So Mel, do you want to introduce yourself to the lovely people?
Yes, hello. Thank you for having me, first and foremost, and thank you everyone for joining. So my name is Mel Kelly. I'm the founder of MK Talent Advisory, and this business works with other companies and businesses to optimize TA operations, set strategies, and basically streamline the end-to-end recruitment process. So I've been doing that for the last year, but I've been in talent acquisition for the last 15 years, even though I don't know how it's been that long. Yeah, I've worked in big enterprise businesses. So the last role I had was a senior manager at PwC. I was also a consultant for them, all within recruitment and recruitment strategy. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Lovely, thank you, Mel. And Matt?
Yeah, nice to meet you all. Thanks for inviting us on as well, Tim. So yeah, I'm Matthew Hassey. I'm one of the global customer success managers for Horsefly. Me and Mel got to know each other through the relationship of Horsefly and PwC. But I've been at Horsefly for over 10 years. Manage a lot of our clients as well as do sales engineering for Horsefly. And yeah, my kind of angle on this call is slightly different. You know, I've never been on the seat of a recruiter, but I have supported talent acquisition with data and solving key challenges on the external market. And I think AI is coming thick and fast. And I think where I can share my angles is around things to consider around AI business transformation and what roles are going to be impacted by AI and this type of stuff you might want to bring into, a solution to, to solve what C-suite will be asking around how the business is going to change in the next 2 to 3 years. So yeah, looking forward to the discussion with you both.
Well, then, of course, Horsefly powering our talent analytics module. So if we do have any customers who are on the call who use our applicant tracking system, if you're using the talent analytics module, all powered by Horsefly. So it's lovely to have you both with us. If you get your phones out now, you can scan one of the QR codes on screen. You can go and have both Mel and Matt on LinkedIn. I'll introduce myself. My name's Tim Clifford. I'm Talos360's Resident Talent Insight Specialist. And I've been working in the people software space for coming up to 10 years now. Started off with payroll software, bookkeeping software, HR software, and now for the last 4 years, the applicant tracking system, the recruitment software space. I've been hosting these webinars for a good couple of years now, every week, sometimes 2, sometimes 3 a week. Plus, I do a lot of in-person workshops. You might see me doing talks at like CIPD, etc. So again, as I mentioned, I also run polls, etc. on my LinkedIn. So I'm going to flash that up on your screen now if you want to go and give me a follow, send me a connection request. Guarantee I'll accept it. I accept pretty much anyone that comes my way. And yeah, you can see what upcoming webinars I've got. Some of you will message me and let me know what topics you'd like me to cover, or ask me if you've got something around onboarding coming up or something around employer brand. Some of you will give me feedback from these webinars, or you'll pop questions to me. So yeah, please do that. It really does mean a lot to get your feedback, and I want to make sure that the topics I'm covering are the stuff that you care about. So let me know what it is that your challenges are, and I'll make sure that we're taking it into consideration when we're mapping out our upcoming webinars. So that's who we are. And I'll very quickly let you know who Talos360 are, because as much as we've become very well known for these webinars and for the workshops and things. What we're most well known for is our applicant tracking system. As I mentioned, we might have some customers on the call. You can see some of the other organisations that we work with there. I imagine the vast majority of you, if you work in recruitment, will use an applicant tracking system of some sort, whether that is a standalone ATS or a bolt-on recruitment module as part of your HR platform. It's a platform that streamlines your entire recruitment process. So obviously very, very tied into the candidate journey. You post your roles through an ATS and it goes live to all the job boards where candidates apply and are filtered into the system, where you manage your screening process, your shortlisting process. All of the interviews are managed through there, onboarding, background checks, reference checks, right the way through to the candidate's first day. So we'll touch on a little bit later on around some of the technology that is available to you. I'm conscious a lot of people are talking about AI in recruitment and how should you be using it. And you might have people above you going, you need to make sure you're using AI. And you kind of going, well, what does that look like? Hopefully we've got some good tips for you on how you can do that later on. So without further ado, what are we going to be talking about today? We're going to have an open discussion around, first of all, AI in itself, how it's disrupting the world of work. It's a very hot topic. It's something that a lot of people are concerned about. It's something a lot of people are excited about. We'll look specifically at its impact on HR and how HR are adapting it, and then specifically some of the technology. And also, this is a fully interactive webinar, so if you do have any questions, pop them in the questions section. We've got time for some questions at the end, hopefully. Before we do get underway with our first poll of the day, I'm just flashing up on your screen now in the related content section. You can download a free copy of our ATS Buyer's Guide. This is a really good guide if you're looking at investing in maybe your first applicant tracking system, or maybe you're looking to upgrade. It shows you all of the available features that are on the market with recruitment technology. So you can start building out a wish list. And when you come to actually booking demonstrations with different providers, you know what you're looking for. You can help build out a comparison matrix, but it also helps you build a business case. So if you are looking to invest in technology, maybe your current provider isn't quite using AI as much as you'd like to, maybe you're looking to automate more of your processes, this is a really, really good guide to just get you started, understand what's available on the market before you go out and start booking demos in. So that's been flashing up on your screen. You can download a copy of that. We've got a poll for you, and that should be live on your screen now. I want to know from you, are you using AI to streamline your recruitment processes? And I'm going to open up to Mel and Matt here. We've got 4 options. Yes, we are. We'd like to, but we don't know where to begin. No, AI isn't for me. Or D, we're not sure. What do you think is going to be the popular responses? What do you think people are going to say here? What are your general feelings towards, using AI to streamline your recruitment processes? Mel, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think that, a lot of ATS systems and technology have AI embedded. So I'd expect a lot of people are using it. But I think that the most popular answer would probably be like, we'd like to, but just don't know where to begin. And so you've probably got AI features within your tech stacks, but how to use it and how to use it ethically and how to use it so that you're making the right decisions and there's a human at the center of it that is helping you and guiding you in making those decisions will be something that I think people want to know more about before they go ahead and roll it out. And so that's why this webinar is great, because obviously we can discuss all of that today, but I think it's just where to start. Because there is nervousness around it. It's blown up really quickly, and everyone needs a bit of support and guidance as to what's the best way to use it. So we'll see if B is the popular one.
Well, I can tell you now, I'll wait until more people have voted, but 70% so far are saying that we'd like to, but we don't know where to begin. And Matt, I'd imagine that's something that you come across quite a lot. Organisations going, we want to start using this technology. We want to start using it to guide us as an organisation. What do we do?
Yeah, I think the key answer is you should be. If you haven't yet, start to begin, because AI is not going to disappear. And there's a potential, McKinsey report basically said that 30% of work hours will potentially be automated through AI. So that's a huge kind of proportion of your workload. So embrace it is what I would say. It is a little bit scary, but I if I think about our practicality in Horsefly for AI, for years and years, I've been with Horsefly helping our clients with very niche roles, mapping out skills and job titles that are difficult to fill. And it's been human element all along, trying to build a Boolean search that gets the right results. And sometimes that can be quite challenging, especially if it's very niche. Whereas, you know, we've got an AI search builder built into Horsefly, for example. One of my clients had a job title threat hunting specialist, which means absolutely nothing, you know, in the external market. But if I was to put the job description of the client into the AI search builder, it will read the kind of skills that they're looking for, like threat intelligence, threat hunting, threat modeling, those types of skills, and it'll build a Boolean search that normalizes that job title. And that's super efficient in terms of getting the right results quicker. What I will say is it's not perfect yet, AI. It's never going to be perfect straight away, so it still requires human intervention. So I would see it as like an embracing of your own role, and you will notice efficiencies across everything you do with the AI piece. So I'd say B is probably most likely, but if you can get to A in the next 12, 18 months, it would be, you know, a super positive kind of impact that you'll find.
Absolutely. And you're spot on. That's live now on your screen, the final results. So yeah, 62.9% in the end said we'd like to, but we don't know where to begin. 14% saying yes, we are actively using it. 20% saying not sure. Only 2.9% saying no, it's not for me. We're going to go into now some of the statistics around, first of all, what the impact is on the wider world, but then specifically HR. And it's no surprise that the sectors that are being disrupted the most by AI are the ones around administration, legal, architecture, engineering, whereas the sectors that are being untouched by it in minor ways are construction, manual labour jobs, because there are certain roles where we need to keep the human element. And I'm going to go into it in a second, but I'm a big believer that for us in HR, AI is a tool that will help us free up more of our time, get rid of the administrative burden that comes along with recruitment, that comes along with AI, with HR, so that we can put more time into speaking to people and have better conversations. But, you know, Matt, what have you seen in terms of which sort of sectors are being hit the most? What do you think around how AI is going to impact the wider world? I mean, I'm a sci-fi nerd. When I first saw AI coming about, I was like, flashbacks to Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Yeah.
but what are you seeing in the market?
I mean, I'm building a bunker in my garden ready for it. So, but no, I would definitely say tech and engineering has got, so within our platform, we have like an AI impact score for every single skill or job title. And that should be the very beginning foundation of workforce scenarios, is actually understanding your own internal workforce and saying, okay, out of all of the jobs we've got, what roles are likely to be impacted by AI? And how can we prepare around reskilling, retraining, relocating, resizing? These are the conversations that actually your C-suite are trying to understand at the moment, where it goes down to the CHRO, to the HR directors, it then gets fed into directors of talent, etc. So for me, having the ability to look at your own workforce and identify what roles are going to be impacted by AI is key. We are certainly seeing it in the ones you mentioned, Tim, around, you know, contact center, you know, content development, etc. But definitely, one example I've got as a DevOps engineer, one of my clients was looking to do huge kind of recruitment drive on DevOps. They were planning to hire 200 DevOps engineers. When they looked at our data, it had an AI impact score of plus 56, which is really high because it goes from negative 100, which is no impact at all, to plus 100, which is full automation. So the fact it's a plus 56 shows that the responsibilities of a DevOps engineer will likely be automated. So then it's a question of build, borrow, buy, or bot. Okay, do we build that talent in ourselves? Do we buy it now, or do we borrow it? And our recommendation was actually don't buy 200 engineers on perm right now with all this AI transformation. One scenario might be buy about 50, contract about 50 in, and look at how you can automate that kind of job. And that could save around 9 million based on average salary for DevOps and the cost of talent for 200 permanent DevOps engineers versus borrowing and buying less and actually using automation. The £9 million saving with that use case alone. And businesses are looking to go into that across the whole workforce and identify where they can look at cost saving and automation and retraining and reskilling. So that should be a focus for businesses as well.
And it's the bigger picture sort of thing, and that's what organisations are looking at. But we've also, when you look at recruitment, Mel, for example, University of Copenhagen have said that already AI workers or AI workers who've got AI skills already in their CVs and as essentially it's a new skills currency, they're seeing a 21% higher salary. So it's a brand new skills currency in recruitment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really important to note that, the skills are changing. I think every 2 years or something like that, there's new skills that we need. And so, as Matt's saying, it's very, very difficult to work in the same ways that we've worked when we look at workforce planning. We now need to be thinking way more ahead, looking at those skills gaps. And as Matt says, looking internally to see where people can transfer those skills, what roles can maybe do some double hatting. But I think also it's really important that, we're looking at the hard skills. And yes, AI at the moment, there's not enough people doing it at a certain level. So their salaries, they can demand higher salaries. But more and more people will become efficient or proficient in AI over the next couple of years. But I think the other thing that we need to be really mindful of in recruitment is that we're not just focusing on the hard skills that we're looking for, but we're looking for the skills that enable someone to learn new skills in the future and actually grow with an organisation. There's been an article from Arctic Shores, which is really interesting, about the skills enablers and how you assess for those things. So looking at someone's aptitude and behaviour and attitude towards learning new skills. And so I think, when we're looking at future planning, we do need to take that into consideration and maybe look at the way we assess people. And I think also because of that, in organisations, HR, L&D, recruitment can no longer work in silos. They need to be coming together and saying, okay, well, this is where we're at. We need to do a skills analysis. We need to identify the gaps. Recruitment, where do you think we can, get these skills, and what initiatives can we start doing to kind of engage younger workers or people that might be changing careers? L&D, what does that look like from an upskilling perspective? HR, how do we keep them? And, and all of that stuff, and retaining of staff. And so I think any kind of working in silos is going to be, something of the past. It's going to need a lot of critical thinking and creativity to kind of work with all of this. And we're all figuring it out, but there's a lot of statistics and there's a lot of data and insights to show that it can be done. You can work with AI and it can really support you in developing a workforce of the future. But the way that we work in HR, recruitment, etc., does need to shift with that.
Yeah, that ties really nicely into looking specifically about how HR in particular are leading the charge on embracing AI. We've done our own research on this. You can see that 57% of HR professionals consider AI, said that they saw AI as a unique opportunity. And I've got loads of other statistics that we can delve into, but you touched on something there around changing the way that we assess candidates, because the bottom thing there, the rise of the AI candidate. I know we jumped on a call not long ago and spoke about this, but not only are candidates using AI to write CVs, but I've even seen scary technology where they can have it sit interviews for them using avatars. Now that's top level AI. If somebody's got access to that level of AI, they probably don't need the job that they're applying for. But some quick stats for you: 47% of HR professionals use AI for gathering and analysing data. 46% of professionals report that AI has helped them generate ideas. 67% said that the biggest benefit of AI were reduced workloads. So I think for me, that's where I'm a big advocate that AI is a tool. There's a difference between AI and automation. Automation's been around for a while. If you look at basic rejection of candidates in an applicant tracking system based on an answer in an application form, automated shortlisting, our software will score candidates based on the answers that they provide in their application form so that you can tell which are your strong ones. That level of automation's been around for a while. But the use of AI we're going to go into some of the more specific uses of it around technology, but that's where we're now starting to see it helping reduce repetitive tasks. There's only 21% have said that they don't think it will see a change, but 69% have said that it is going to decrease the time that they spend on tasks and the resources acquired to it. And that's where I think we should really start to see, through things like using AI to generate job ads, CV parsing, focus screening, interview summarization, all that sort of stuff. That's going to really help elevate the candidate journey. But obviously, you know, Mel, you've been on the front line working in recruitment for years now. What sort of tasks do you think are people going to go, oh, do you know what, thank God that I don't need to worry about that anymore by using technology?
Yeah, I think I like the fact that you brought up the difference between automation and AI, because, you know, automation we've had for ages, and, you know, a certain task will be, you know, will start after said action. AI is obviously a predictive, it's predictive, right? It's based on the information that it's got. I think the benefit of that is that the longer that you're using it, the more attuned it's going to become with your processes and the patterns that you use it in. I think that, you know, the amount of candidates applying with AI is obviously in high volume spaces, not necessarily more in niche sectors, but that has increased applications. And applications has always been a problem. You know, that's the reason why we've had killer questions and stuff like that, trying to reduce the amount of people that land in your inbox. But I think the benefit of AI is that, you know, and the use of ethical AI, I might add, you know, and not AI that's making decisions for you, but it's helping you to guide you on, you know, how people are ranking, etc. And so, you know, there's still the recruiter at the end of it who's going to be making that decision, but it just helps to give you a starting point. And sometimes you can go in your inbox and see hundreds of applications overnight, and you're like, where do I start? And so, you know, if you've got the right AI in place, I think that is really going to support everybody in their roles. I think what is really exciting, I think, especially from my perspective, is around, you know, the interview, AI transcripts, things like that. Because not only does that allow a hiring manager to focus on their interview with the candidate, so the candidate has the full attention of a hiring manager at their interview, they get to summarize, you know, their notes, and everything has been captured. They can look at that against scoring criteria that they've set out in, you know, against their company values, competencies. But also it kind of gives more protection to candidates, because you actually have a blow-by-blow account of what happened in interview. So if someone went and, you know, requested a sales request or feels like they've been treated unfairly, there's actually a documented, you know, transcript of what happened in that interview, what was discussed and how the decisions have been made. And you can go through every stage of that and make a really clear account of what's happened. And I think that's really positive thing. Conduct interviews correctly to reduce bias, you know, do's and don'ts. And previously you haven't had the opportunity to really know what's going on in interviews. So I think that's really positive. Am I still on course for this question, by the way? Because I can go off on a bit of a tangent. So I just want to make sure that I'm answering your question, Tim.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Okay. And then just lastly around reporting. So, you know, a candidate experience is, you know, you look at your attractions, how you're writing your job adverts, what language you're using, what process then a candidate goes through, the emails that can now be automated and personalized, and AI can help you write those. And, you know, there's loads of things that you can do from that perspective. But then now we're seeing reporting and analytics having an AI add-on where you can say, okay, well, let me deep dive into my data and find out why people are dropping out, or who is dropping out at what stages. Are there patterns forming in certain departments or hiring managers, or, you know, certain stages of a process? Do we lose a bunch of females at this stage, or, you know, people in ethnic minority backgrounds if they've disclosed that? Are people dropping out between offer and starting because actually there's just this black hole where no one's talking to them? But, you know, we don't see it because previously we've had to pull all of our reports. We're generally having to take them out of an ATS system into a CSV. Then we're having to analyze them, create the story, the summaries, and then the recommendations. And that's been a really long-winded task to do, and that's why people don't like doing reporting. But now we're going to have that insight. That means we can tackle some of these problems head on, which impacts the candidate experience massively, because we know that we are doing everything we can to improve it end to end by, you know, using the data we've got, but then AI to help us analyze it. So there's a few positives of AI and how I'm seeing it being used and how I'd be recommending that people use it.
Data's a big one for me. And I know data and reporting is not the sexiest thing in the world. And it's people are like, oh, yeah, reports are fun, aren't they? But actually now, with the level of technology that's available, we're about to go live with a really exciting new AI-driven reporting module where you can do just that and dive into the data. It helps us be better, but also outside of recruitment from the HR perspective, when you look at things like using companies that use or have implemented AI-driven engagement studies, they see a 20% increase in employee satisfaction levels and a 15% decrease in turnover rate. So actually using the AI to delve into feedback surveys, understanding why people like working there, because so many organizations spend time and resource with engagement surveys and then don't actually know what to do with that information. Whereas now AI can be used to spot common trends. A lot of things that you discussed there, and we're going to go into a bit more detail specifically on what can you use AI and technology for in your recruitment process. I'm just going to flash live on your screens now. It's over to the left-hand side, I think. Or is it my right? Either way, it should be highlighted for you on the screen now. By far our most popular request off the back of our webinars, and that is a free complimentary recruitment review. It's free to all of you just for attending. It's no obligation, it's no preparation. You don't have to do loads of stuff to prepare for this. We'll take a look at your job ads, which job boards that you're using, the language being used in those job ads, your careers page, your overall recruitment process. We'll sit down on a call with you to understand what your current hiring strategy is and just see if there's any way that it can be improved. Maybe reducing your time to hire. Maybe you've got a particularly long time to hire and that's maybe impacting your recruitment. Could we potentially shave some of that off? And we're also one of the largest recruitment media purchasers in the UK. We buy that many job credits from the premium job boards that we get them at discounted rates. Maybe we could help you save a bit of money on Indeed. We had about 7.9 million applications come through our ATS last year. So we've got the data around, well, which day of the week should you be posting your job on? What time of day is best to receive applications for? So this is a really, really good review to have somebody external to your organization review your overall recruitment processes. And there'll be a specialist in your sector as well, so they'll understand the niche challenges that you might be facing, and they'll have success stories of other organizations and what they've done. So that's been flashing up on your screen. You can request it at any time, and what we'll do is we'll get in touch and book that in with you. Before we do get into the specifics around the technology that's available as part of your tech stack that you can use AI for, I'm going to go live with our next poll of the day, and that is, can AI improve and elevate the candidate experience? Yes, definitely, not sure, or no, it'll be too impersonal. As I mentioned at the beginning of this call, I've run a poll recently on LinkedIn, and candidate experience was the second most concerning aspect of AI that people thought it might impact. So I'll ask you both now, obviously, while it's live and we're waiting for some of the results to come in, what do you think the people are going to say?
Yes.
Yeah. In an answer, I'd agree. In fact, to be fair, I can take a little bit of a quick peek. Yeah, we're at 73.3% so far, but it's the highest, as I said, was bias. We're going to touch on a little bit of how you can actually use AI to try and remove bias, but that's the biggest concern that people are worried about. But obviously, automating using AI, does that take a human element out of the recruitment process? Does that then impact the candidate journey? And that's why we're here to talk today. We're looking at specifically the candidate journey. I'm conscious of time. We've only got 15 minutes left, and I want to make sure that we've got time for questions at the end. But 76%. So quite clearly, most people are aware that AI can be used to improve the candidate journey. We're going to go into some of the specifics on exactly how you can do that. Now, I want to caveat that as well. Just obviously, when we think about candidate journey, we think about the candidate's experience and what they experience in the recruitment journey. But actually, if we can improve the experience of the recruiters and the hiring managers, that should improve the candidate experience. Like you were saying, Mel, interview insights, we're going to touch on that in a second. If we can make the interview process better for the hiring managers, because it's being transcribed, it's got summary notes, then that makes the interview better and that improves the candidate journey. There's knock-on effect. Before we do get into that, though, we're running a competition at the minute, and for a large amount of people on the call, I can imagine they're probably quite interested in this. A lot of organisations are currently trimming costs around recruitment, putting in place initiatives to try and cut costs around what we're doing, trying to automate processes. We are offering a free ATS for an entire year. All you've got to do is click on the little link that's flashing up on your screen, and we will enter you into that competition. Whether you've not got an ATS in place at all, this is a great entry point for you to start using one and understand how that can actually help you out. Or if you've got something in place you may be considering moving, well, great. If you can get that for free, you'll be looked at very nicely in the eyes of your finance director. But as I said, free competition that we're running over the summer, been highlighted on your screen. Click on the link and we'll enter you into the prize draw. Now, we're going to jump into some of the specifics that you can use your technology for. The first thing, as I mentioned earlier on, is talent analytics, our talent analytics module being powered by Horsefly. I don't want to steal any of your thunder here, Matt, because this module is powered by the technology from Horsefly within our ATS. How is talent analytics going to be such a vital tool for people in recruitment?
I think the most important thing is it's removing opinions and giving you data to back up what you already know or back up what you know. Sometimes you'll have an opinion, a stakeholder internally will have an opinion and they can clash. So if you've got data to back that up, it really helps to be that expert voice internally. So I'd say that's a key thing. Obviously, market data is so crucial for, ensuring you've got the right go-to-market strategy. What job title are we using? And again, if you've got an example like threat hunting specialist, which is an absolutely rubbish job title, AI solved that for me in a live meeting with my client in seconds, because I just put the job description through and it gave me the right job titles to use. So it's about getting the right data. Obviously, we've touched on diversity data within Horsefly. You've got the ability to map any skill or job title, understand what the gender breakdown looks like, what the ethnicity breakdown looks like, how that changes based on different locations. So one of my clients was doing a lot of tech hiring in Edinburgh for a long time. They realized with our data that was about 88% white population. So they looked at the data to say, well, is there any alternative locations where we can, have the same talent pool, decent number of people in the different locations, but with a more diverse kind of population. So, having that information would be really useful. Salary benchmark can be really useful as well. So there's a whole host of data that, gives you that expert voice and helps you to plan better, basically, for any external recruitment or internal recruitment that you're doing as well.
Absolutely. The best way I describe the talent analytics module within Talos is it's like having a crystal ball to see, well, how hard is it actually going to be to hire for this role, or easy, before you've even posted it. I'm going to flash up on your screen now. You can actually request to come and have a look at this module. It's absolutely groundbreaking. If you want to know, well, which job boards should we be using before we post a role, how many candidates have we got in that area geographically based on the qualifications that we're looking for, how many fish are in the pond that we're about to go fishing in, what job titles should we be using, have we got any competitors who are potentially looking for similar roles? That will then help you justify if you need extra budget behind roles. You yourself might know straight away looking at a role whether or not it's going to be hard to hire. But you've got people breathing over your shoulder going, why have you not hired this person? Why have you not hired this person? And using talent analytics, you can go, well, this is why. I've only got X amount of active candidates in the area searching for that role. We've not got the best salary that we're using to advertise it. We're not using the right job title. This is why we're potentially struggling with it. So it's an incredible module. If you want to come and have a look at it, that's highlighted on your screen. Very quickly, this is something that I'd imagine the vast majority of you might have maybe delved into, using AI, generative AI, to generate job ads. Now, caveat on this, you should never be using AI to write a job ad and just posting it. I hope that goes without saying. But using it to give you a little bit of inspiration, if you've got writer's block, it's a great way to get started. But also, and I'm going to flick onto the next screen here because you can use AI to do this, it can be used to help remove bias or change language or change tone from within a job ad. And tone is really important. You want the tone of your job ads to match the tone of your organization. So a great example of this is Everyman Cinema. They use our applicant tracking system. If you go and have a look at their job ads scream Everyman Cinema. They've really managed to capture the tone of who they are as an organization in their job ads, and that in turn attracts like-minded candidates to their applications. If you're wanting to understand what the tone of your job ad is, go and put it through ChatGPT. Make this funnier, make it lighter, make it more serious, and it will help you do that. But there's also, I'm not going to go through each one of these tools, but there's tools available to actually help you remove bias from within your job ads. So this has been around for a while in terms of, so like Total Jobs have got a free gender decoding tool where you can go and put your job ad in and it will tell you if you're using more masculine or more feminine terminology in your job ads and potentially attracting one gender over another. But you can, given that bias is one of the main concerns that people have got around using AI, you can actually utilize these tools to help try and remove bias from your recruitment. Now, if you want, obviously, to have a look at some of these in a bit more detail, I'm highlighting on the screen. You can go and grab the slides from this session. You can go and look at those in a little bit more detail. But also, I wanted to very quickly talk about something that you were mentioning before, Mel, interview insights. And I was a hiring manager many moons ago, and I've got an awful memory, and I don't say that lightly. I would really struggle with, during an interview, trying to maintain eye contact, but also try and write notes down. I'd have to write my notes because otherwise I'd just forget. And there was genuinely, and I feel bad saying this, but there was people who I will have interviewed who may not have been successful and gone as far because I couldn't articulate quite well to everybody else why I thought maybe that candidate was a stronger candidate, or maybe I didn't remember the entire conversation. And that now has been removed. Because using interview insights, what it will do is it will transcribe your entire conversation. It will show you conversation splits, so how much as an interviewer spoke versus the interviewee. It will give you straight away in AI-generated interview summaries, highlights that you can then go back. And if I wanted to ask the interview insights module within our ATS, show me where Tim was discussing his previous work experience, it will just show you that. But also, I won't steal your thunder, Mel, but how important is this for making sure that you're exhibiting fair hiring?
Like really important. You know, as I mentioned before, you don't know what's going on in interviews. You can just hope that, you know, your hiring managers are trained, they're, you know, being inclusive, they're, you know, giving the candidate, you know, it's not about them just talking about how great the business is, that they're actually, you know, giving the candidate the opportunity to talk about their own experience and skills, and that they're not, you know, using leading questions, that they're not, you know, asking them inappropriate questions, you know, about when they're due to have kids or whatever. I mean, I hope that doesn't happen, but you don't know. And I think this is what's really important. And it is to be able to monitor that. I'm not saying that, you know, it's Big Brother and everybody's watching, but, you know, it does give you, if you were to look at the insights from a recruitment process for a particular role, and you just ask AI to show you the inclusiveness of these interviews, and it pulled out some key things, then it's not that you're going into every hiring manager's, you know, blow by blow account, but it's just highlighting, okay, well, maybe you've got some problems here, and actually maybe we need to do some more training. Because that's going to further improve not only the candidate experience, but the hiring managers feel confident that they're doing the right thing in an interview. Because let's face it, a lot of people go in and do interviews about any training whatsoever. And so inadvertently could be, you know, doing the wrong thing without even knowing it. And I think, you know, there's a responsibility for us in recruitment to help everybody conduct interviews in the way that they should be.
Absolutely. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put live view on the screen. You can actually request to come and have a look at that interview insights module. Where is the button? There it is. You should see that flashing up. But also talent analytics powered by Horsefly, an amazing module, which I think is one of the more groundbreaking areas of how AI is going to impact recruitment. But like I said, interview insights, an amazing tool that can help you not only recruit better, but actually assist your hiring managers, make sure that you've got consistency, you're exhibiting fairer hiring. And also remember some of the tools that I showed you before around AI-generated job ads. Of course, there are many other benefits of an ATS around automating your recruitment process. Can't remember the specific specific stat earlier on, but if you're looking to automate and remove the admin burden associated with recruitment so that you can put more time into having conversations with people, an ATS is the #1 way to go about doing that. So if you click on the link on the screen that's flashing, we'll have a quick discovery call with you first of all. We want to know, well, what are your challenges? What is it that you're coming up against to make sure that an ATS is the right solution for you? Again, that'll be with someone who's a sector specialist. They know the area that you're working with, and they'll have some specific live examples of how other customers have utilised that. But yeah, come and have a look at Talos ATS. I'm biased. I'm going to say it's the best on the market, but go and have a look for yourself. Finally, before we do take some questions as well, we've got a free guide for you, which is over in the related content section, highlighted on your screen. A brand new guide that we've just published around AI in HR. It goes into a little bit more detail on what it is that we've been talking around today. The difference we mentioned between AI and automation, so you understand if you are using AI or if you're actually using automation. And some of the stuff around how generative AI can help you out, the importance of fairness and privacy and accuracy, and just making sure that you're using AI responsibly. It's a free guide, one of many that we produce, so go and have a look at that. Which leaves us with a couple of minutes for questions. So I'm going to open up the Q&A section for you. It should be, if you can't see it, if you go over the top, I'm going to highlight it for you on your screen. You can see the Ask Questions section. And I want to see if you've got any questions for myself, for Matt, for Mel, around candidate experience, around potentially how AI might impact your work. If you're concerned about it, let us know what you think. And there's about a 17-second delay between the words leaving my voice and you guys hearing them. So I'm just delaying to make sure you've got plenty of time to make sure you can write out your questions. So is there any round, while we wait for any questions to come in, Mel and Matt, have you got any closing statements that you want to make around how we can use AI to improve the candidate journey?
Yeah, I think we've already highlighted so many ways that you can use AI to impact the candidate journey, and, you know, not just by, you know, the communications that you have with them, but the important process improvements that need to happen in order for that candidate experience to be great. Because we can say lovely things on our job adverts, and we can send really fluffy emails, but if we're not then showing the candidate that experience throughout the journey, you know, it's kind of pointless. And so my closing thought would, or comments really, would just be, you know, we need to do our due diligence if we're going to adopt AI successfully. We need to look at our end-to-end processes. We need to understand what is the journey that candidates are actually going through outside of the things I've just mentioned. And then where AI is actually really going to enhance it and, you know, empower you as a recruiter and a TA lead to, you know, really make a difference and, you know, do more fun stuff. It doesn't all have to be admin and recruitment. But yeah, that'd be my closing thought, you know, just, you know, do due diligence, but embrace it. It's not going anywhere, so lean into it. And, you know, people like myself and Matt, you know, we're all on hand to, you know, have conversations if anyone wants to have them. So yeah, that would be my closing thoughts.
Well, we have had a question come through from Cassandra saying, if our organisation already has a recruitment platform that's admittedly a little bit out of date, admittedly a little old, how else could we incorporate AI other than using job ads, interviews, etc.? So I don't know if either of you want to weigh in on that one.
My initial thought would be, you know, if you've got a recruitment platform that is a little bit old, that recruitment platform should be looking at how they can improve the experience. You know, if I think about Talos and what you've done, you're the first to market with talent analytics out of any other ATS. So that shows that you're evolving as a business and you're trying to adhere to the challenges of today, not 2 months ago or 10 years ago. So I think you would want to question your recruitment platform to see, you know, how they can and how they are incorporating AI, and if they're not, you want to look into potential other solutions that can. That's only my point on it around the recruitment platform. Mel, I don't know if you've got anything else to add.
Yeah, I think, you know, I've been in an experience where you've got, you know, a really terrible tech platform. There was one that I won't mention its name, but, you know, at one point it was even a back button, so you could go so far, and if you made a mistake, you couldn't even go back and you'd have to start all over again. And so I know there's still really like antiquated systems that are being used. I think the other ways that you can use it is, while you're doing investigations with your platform providers, is using things like ChatGPT or Claude AI or, these other platforms that are available to say, to ask it questions, use it as a coach, saying, we want to improve X, Y, and Z in our process. This is what we're currently getting from data. What do you think some of the improvements are that we can make? We want to improve inclusive hiring. What are some of the strategies you might think you can help us with to roll out some new training or and things like that. So I think it's about, you can still use AI to help guide you, to be an advisor, to be a coach to a certain extent, just to kind of give you some ideas about how you can improve a more manual process or one that isn't powered by AI. But I'd also echo what Matt said, that, those people that aren't embracing AI and automations are going to get left behind in terms of the experience that they can provide a candidate. So, yeah, hopefully there'll be some budget somewhere to invest in this in the future. But otherwise, there are some more manual tools, but they're just a bit more time consuming than those that are embedded and learn.
Yeah, it's important to make sure you've got the right tech stack. And I think that's why it's actually quite easy to build a business case for an ATS, because they pay for themselves quite quickly. When you look at the cost with hiring and how much time it can save. Yeah, obviously, I know that's not an easy thing to go and do, Cassandra, and go, well, you need to go and maybe look for a better ATS. But some great advice there on how you could potentially utilize it to help you out. We've run out of time, Amy. I'm very quickly going to answer your question. How do we ensure ethical use of AI, ensure privacy, guardrails across so many types of AI tool? What do you look for when deciding whether to use a new tool? My advice for you here is, echoing what the guys have just said, due diligence. Things like ISO accreditation, that sort of thing with an organization, if they're following privacy policies and guidelines already as an organization, they will be looking at things like ethical use of AI. But to answer the question, I'm going to jump back to something you said a little bit earlier, Mel. The minute that AI or technology is making decisions on your behalf, you've crossed the line, I think. I think it is a tool that is there to help you make better decisions, but it shouldn't be making the decisions for you. So that would be my very quick summary on there. But as I said, I'm conscious we're going over on time. Amy, if that doesn't answer your question properly, drop me a message on LinkedIn and I'll try and put some more time into it. Thank you, first of all, from myself, both to Matt and Mel, joining me on today's webinar. I've loved having you on. It's been a really, really good discussion. And I, of course, really appreciate you all taking the time to join me on today's webinar. Mel and Matt, I'll let you say goodbye to the people before we clock off.
Yeah, just want to say thanks. And
yeah, just a massive thank you. Oh
sorry. Both at the same time. We're in sync, Mel.
You go.
No, you go first, honestly. You go first.
All right, well, just big thank you for everyone for joining, for showing an interest and curiosity in how AI can improve the candidate journey. I'm more than happy to have a call, have a chat about any of this stuff, so please do reach out to me on LinkedIn and discuss this any further. But and also just a huge shout out to Tim for having us on the call today. It's been great to talk about this stuff live with an audience. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mel. And I would just like to say the same. Thanks, Tim, for setting her up, and thanks for all joining. Where I think I could probably add value is not necessarily in the candidate journey. I think it's more around that strategic element of what your business is looking to do. So if anyone wants to explore how you might want to start looking at AI and what roles are going to be impacted in your workforce, how you can reskill, retrain, look at, basically workforce strategy, please get in touch and we'll be able to guide you and support you where possible around that as well. But yeah, thanks for joining and have a great day, everyone.
Lovely. Cheers, guys. I've had your LinkedIn QR codes up for a minute or two, so if you want to go and add them, you can there. But again, thank you so much, everybody, for your time, and look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.